set up the mechanism in order to support the three components of the EAFM. This is my first comment. The second one, come back to the REBIC project. In the REBIC project, we concentrate much on the ecological well-being and good governance. In terms of the intervention for the human well-being, is not much reflected in the project document because we just only have the economic incentives for the joint fishery management. So in this regard, if we would like to define the indicators for the REBIC project, we have to think about how to get the human well-being here, the contribution for the local community, the income. However, the impact is not for 2 years. This is implementation. So this is a very challenge for us in the framework of the REBIC project. I just only would like to say 2 points of view.
Okay. And now start clockwise.
To support the human well-being, but we didn't put it like last time. So we try to put one issues related to the one like a social economic benefit increase from sustainable resource. So it's a kind of.
Why not you did another way around?
Thank you. I think nobody can argue that the three ingredients there for the EAFM is the best for the current situation. And I may perhaps just tell you why. It's perhaps why we were able to reflect those in our goals, where it's the logical things to do. See, our learnings from previous experience. You see, many of the previous management approaches were sometimes heavy on one of the two sides there. One of the two sides, say for example, the ecosystem focused management systems are too heavy in that, which is not easily acceptable to many of the stakeholders, and they are not really practical things to do. What is the beautiful here? What's the good thing in EAFM is it's like just a compromising. It's balancing, compromising that the system that we want to implement is acceptable to everybody. Everybody happy, including those who are conservationists, including those from the industry. And it's just a matter of how the government can, or governance can balance between the two. I think I just add up. Although, as I was telling in previous statement, that in terms of legal framework, we do not have a specific legal framework that refers to EAFM.
Goal 1 is a sustainable ecosystem service. In this goal, we have a ecological well-being about the production, and we have the governance about the stakeholder follow the law and legal. And the third one is a stakeholder income. In this case, the stakeholder include livelihood. Everyone who have inhabit in the area of closing area, closing season, will we have income more or less well-being, including livelihood already. Maybe not seeing this one. That is my comment.
So you see, we have not scored any number in the ecological well-being. We do score in good governance and human well-being. That is because in PNG we practically have a small fishing industry compared to all of you. Our vessels are less and smaller in size, and we have a big fishing area in the Gulf of Papua. So we do have a management plan for the fishery. During the discussions and presentation, we may not, indicate to the audience about the management ecological well-being. However, we do in the management plan of the fishery, we do have, less number of vessels, required net sizes and all that. And if we also implement the REBIC project, that's also part of governance in terms of managing the fishery. But ideally, you should look at it as a contribution to ecological well-being. I would say in this context. That's one of it, and also, PNG's. If I don't know with the experience from other countries, you have like so many different fishing levels. You have commercial, medium size, and then you have family unit, individual thing. But in PNG we have only one. That's commercial. But we do, however, now our government has changed. They want to encourage small to medium enterprise fishing industry, and so in our governance we also encourage this. We make exception for the small scale industry to boom, participate also with the troll fisheries.
Every group already showed that you quite refer to all components of EAFM. And EAFM not only the balancing between human well-being and ecological well-being through the governance. EAFM also not run by, but work through the stakeholder system. Please make sure you develop group of stakeholders and identify them and prioritize them. Select them to be a core group of your team. Please recheck. Do your stakeholder stakeholder processing is function well or not? In order to make, if I am stakeholder in your REBIC team in national level, I have to inform you my comment also. Do I have channel? Do I have platform? This is the most important one also on EFM concept. Thank you.
Yes, a good point actually. Now, I have my doubts whether you need an ecological well-being goal. Although, as Philip mentioned, in your management plan there are conservation references. Maybe you could have a small goal. Which brings us to the most problematic comment, which was from Ms. Lund. And she's absolutely right, and I don't quite know what to do about this. There is nothing in our project document, this thing here, there's nothing that refers to human well-being. It's a problem. If we follow the project document verbatim, absolutely perfectly, we don't have to do anything for people. We have to have good policies and frameworks. We have resource management, things like selected gears, that's what we call it. Then we have information coming into the project and information we give out. But there's no mention of how people might benefit. I would argue this is a weakness of the project, and it's something that the midterm review have picked up on. They're not very happy with the design of the REBIC 2 project because we're missing this human component. Now the reason I'm pushing this is that if we can go to the Project Steering Committee meeting in May, which Vietnam is kindly hosting, we can make the case for a more balanced approach, which will be more in line with what the Philippines is talking, more in line with what someone just said is common sense. Yes, it's common sense.
Can I have just
Please,
one?
yes.
Apart from the project goals that we have there, in the annex of the project document, the project also breakdowns
the impact, the outcome, and these things in the annexes, indicators. So perhaps we also need to dig out whether, although it may not presented in the goals right up, whether it's also recommended in the log frame, which is annexes of the project document. If there is not at all there, then it would be very strong argument to the steering committee about this weakness. But if it is, it means that it allow us not in the goal level, but in the indicators level that the country will have to explore in order to fulfill that outcomes. I can't remember whether it is, but we perhaps we can check it. It's not too late at all. It's not too late at all. As you said, as a Thai case, there is somewhere to split and combine again. Human being benefit is indirect benefit of the project. So we have to keep in mind that the human being benefit with any project is an indirect benefit of what you are doing. And when we are talking about human being benefit or socio-economic benefit, they would definitely taking longer time than the project timeline. That is the reality, and we would not to try to make this, within the timeline, because in reality you can't. Okay, that is the first caution that we have to keep in mind, right? The second caution, and I would like to take the example from the Philippines. Philippines be able to integrate every project because they have collected lessons learned from other projects in the past. You said that yesterday and the day before that you'll be able to have a lot of projects similar to this. That's why the Philippines case, they know a lot of weakness, a lot of good things, and especially the integration of the things. That's why from the Philippines, they have a long life, years of lessons they learn. That's why the Philippines can address every component very clearly. And that is not, in our case, majority. We are trying to make change because it's some really big intervention here. In order to make a full change, we have to concern about maturity of the readiness to change. The maturity of the change, of the readiness to change in the Philippines is the lessons that they have learned. But what about other countries? What is the maturity? How long that you can mature in order to make change that transfer to the human being part? Okay? So it means that these indirect benefits and the maturity of the readiness to change is the thing that perhaps we have to concern when we would like to do anything to present to the project partner, because otherwise that can direct us into difficulties in order to address their questions or their suggestions or their concerns. Because everybody in the committee, I believe, they know. If you put something that income is increased, how income is increased, so what is the impact? The quality of life is take time. Okay. The third important one, and this is related project evaluation, and this is important, especially impact. Before you say what is the impact from the project, we will have to make sure that whatever we pilot in our country using the elephant trout fishery, this pilot case is now used for the total area that we concern. Are we ready to say that? For example, we have pilot project in, say, Somerset, is 10, after project is 15. And this 15 is implied to all. I think that is too early to assume that. So for the impact evaluation, it is very challenging. It's very important to consider how much is our pilot site is pure enough to apply, to imply to other sites that is also the same. Because all the sites, all the area are different. So this is the caution that we have to make when we are going to say about the impact. We cannot be over assumption that the impact already will happen. It's a long way to go.
So the very best thing that we could do is to have a pilot area. So that is what we did, because there are many limitations. It's like sampling. When you conduct statistics, the more samples you have,
Yes.
the more accurate will be your data.
Correct.
So then, if we will transfer after the studies had been conducted in that pilot area had been completed, then we have to look if this the results of this can be replicated in other areas.
What we just did the exercise half an hour ago. It's called alignment. It's alignment.ภาษาไทยทำให้มันร้อยเรียงสอดคล้องภาษาอังกฤษ English term coherent connectivity. So it was the process of alignment. In order to make sure the coherent, it has to make sure the connectivity of what are we thinking about before we finalize the plan. We have to look into different angles in terms of the RIBICS goals, national goals, and the FMU goals, FM goal, the micro level project scope. We have to do this, I think, many times in the process. Like what we did, I think if we are make it have time, we would do it this many rounds in order to make sure that all alive with everything. Because in our life, we never live alone. Even in our family, sometimes we disagree with our spouse and also children. So this is part of the big family. So one day, we have to select one for everyone. Yes, Ching, it's real. So it's like a family. At the end of the day, we have to listen, we have to argue, we have to have a forum sometimes, but we come to the conclusion that everybody happy. Okay? So I guess we are coming to that. So the management guru just gave us a very strange term they call alignment or streamline. But actually it's just make things connect. Okay? But remember one word, it's not only not connection, but it's also It's very strange term. Cascading. It's cascaded. Everything can be cascaded up and down. If you implement here, it's reflect there. If you implement there, it's reflect there. No problem. So alignment is important. Is important step in result-based management in order to make connectivity clear.
Or sometimes, sirs, we are using fine-tuning. Fine-tuning.
Yes. So yes, fine-tuning is also a very good word to fine-tuning.
To select the FM.
You said something. So fine-tuning is another word that we can use. So if we look at this, it looks like that everybody working separately. The FMU is doing their project. The national agency is also concerning the strategies on fishery, and also they are entertaining the interest of the Director General and also the secretaries in order to meet the national goal. And also at the national level, we have international partners, initiatives that we have to fulfill. So it looks like that everybody doing separate things. But at the end of the day, we have to come into the picture that cannot be separate from the global interest, national interest, and also local interest. So that's why we try to find ways to link it. So this cascading diagram is not only goal, but indicators. That's why when we identified the indicator at the stage before lunch, I said, let's put big indicator first. Because when you put the big indicators, it reflects well the big goal. If we put small indicator, it reflects here. Put big, it reflects here. Right? Now, the second advantage of having big indicator first is that after you have big indicator here, you can break down the big indicator into the smaller, easy. Then your data collection will be easy. And when you report back, it's again easy because you combine small indicator into the big into the bigger, and bigger into the biggest. So this is the way to cascade, or the way to make it coherent. One way to do it. The goals of RIBICS should not be our goal, because it should not be our goal. It's too big to be our goal, nation. The goal of RIBIC could be, I'm not saying it must be, okay, this is an example. This could be our vision. The goal of the biodiversity convention could be our vision. The goal of the climate change, UNCC, could be our vision when it comes into the national. And then for the national plan, we also have the mission, our responsibility to fulfill